buddy. He's driving the dune buggy.
Guys, I get to pick up a new piece of equipment today. This is my buddy Jeff. I've known him since he was 0. He's one of the best welders I've ever met. And he picked this up this morning. It's just a punch, but it's a 5-ton punch. And these things cost $5,000. And I've always wanted one, but I've never been able to justify it. So he picked it up for 450 bucks. And the reason is because it is 510 pounds. So the Craigslist ad was just bumping with people from other states and areas that wanted it shipped because it's a $5,000 piece of equipment. But because it's so expensive to ship it, he ended up selling it dirt cheap locally. So Jeff doesn't have as much of a need for it as I do. So he ended up just passing that savings on to me. And luckily, I got a little forklift so we can unload it. So let's get this on the property before he changes his mind. All right, guys, well, it looks right at home next to the old shear here. So this is 22 gauge. This is what I'm normally using. Check this out. Well, bam! And it's nice too if I have to go super deep in it, you know. Well, bam! So I will use the heck out of this thing, I'm sure, for many years. All right, guys, today I am the bearer of great news. I went down to our MVD, which most of you guys call a DMV, and I talked to the code inspector, and I verified that I'm not going to need a windshield for this little trophy truck here. Now, I will say that I am a bit of an expert when it comes to getting vehicles registered, and I can say that because, let me show you what I built before. This here is the smallest street legal car in the entire world. I built this, golly, 7 years ago, and got put in the Guinness World Record books. There's a picture of my beautiful wife before she was my wife driving it, and then there's me on Good Morning America. They flew me and that little tiny car out to New York. Now this was a total pain to get registered, and I'd like to do a video in the near future because I do have some old footage of putting it together and all the, you know, TV shows and whatever it was on. That was hard. Now this, I knew, would not be nearly as difficult to get registered, but I was a little nervous about the windshield. So she will be registered to be on the street, which is fantastic. Now the downside of this was that because I don't want them to forget me and my paperwork and go through a whole headache of, well, I don't know who told you that. I verified the lady that told me all of this is going to be working there on April 7th, and they had an opening for the inspection, which means this will be inspected, and it will have a VIN assigned, and it will be street legal on April 7th. So that gives me until April 7th to have all of the requirements that I need. All right, guys, it's April 2nd. I've got 4 days left to have this thing ready for the inspection. I'm finishing up the electrical right now, and there's one modification that I made that I think some of you might find interesting. So let me show you that now. Now what I'm doing is for my high beam right there. I think it was episodes, I don't know, somewhere around episode 8 or whatever, where I ended up buying that. That's my high beam. That's the one that goes on the front right here. And then I've got those 2 little guys that are going to be my low beams. Now these don't consume a lot of amperage. I tested it out a little bit by running it through my little 5 amp fuse here, and you can see it is quite melted. That was from the high beams. Now it didn't blow the fuse, but it would have if I would have let it stay on there for a little while. So I decided I wanted to add a relay to the high beam, but it's not necessary for the low beam. So for the low beam, it's real simple. I've just got these 2 wires. So I'm just going to connect these together via a switch, and then I'll have my low beams running through the existing wiring for my left headlight. So I'm hooking them both up together as if they were my left headlight. Now my high beam is going to be ran through the wiring that originally went to the right front headlight. So if you follow that wiring through the wiring harness here, what I've done is I've hooked the headlight wiring right here into a relay that was originally for my rear defrost, which of course I don't need anymore. Now that relay is then activated through the multifunction switch, which I've changed the wiring on just a little bit so that the switch works the same for the flash to pass, which is the momentary, and for the constant. So it's basically just going to be high beams on or flashing high beams. I still wanted to use this switch, and so I think that's probably the best way to do it. In 2005, let me show you over here, I have the factory service manual for the 2005, and it shows that the multifunction switch gets positive power, and then it sends out that positive power to the lighting control module to activate things. And the 2006's, it's actually a grounded switch that then sends the ground to the lighting control module. So I was trying to decide, do I change it over back to the 2005 style and run positive power through there, or do I keep it as a grounded switch? And I decided to keep it as a grounded switch, because that way a majority of the wiring is unmodified, so that if I forget what I did, it's not as difficult in the future. So all I've got to do is finish up wiring this grounded switch to this relay, to the multifunction switch, and then I'm just changing up a couple little things here, and then it'll be good to go. All right, guys, I decided where I'm going to put my switches. I'm going to put them up here. And I was thinking about putting them right here, because they'd be easy to reach, but I don't like having to reach for them blindly. It's going to be just a horn and a headlight switch. That's it. I was thinking about putting them here, but I want to make this removable. So then I wanted to put them up on the gauge cluster, but I can't reach that when I'm strapped in on the 4 points. And so up here just made the most sense. But you know, it's cool. This means that I get to use my new Cool Guy machine that I bought today, because I need to punch the holes for it. I think I'm only going to do the one right now. This is going to be the headlights, this is going to be the horn, and then I'm leaving this empty because I'm sure I'm going to need another switch later. One thing that came to mind, I did a couple of tabs right here so that I could eventually put some rear-facing, just, you know, off-road lights in case I needed to light up the back, or maybe a full bar if I really want to drive people crazy. But right now, I just get to practice with this little punch and see what she can do. So let's see. All right, I think that's it. And, haha, look at that. Ah, fantastic. Look at that. Like a glove. All right, guys, here's how it's looking. I've got the ends bent just a little bit. I think it looks pretty good. I'm gonna have the wife print up little labels here. And then of course, there's the room for the future reverse lights. Here's how the switch turned out. Alright guys, I want to show you how I ended up doing the exhaust hangers. What I did on the bottom here is I took a piece of flat strap aluminum and I did 90-degree bends, and I punched a couple holes in it so that I could put a bolt through, and then I just welded this little hanger to a factory forward rubber exhaust hanger. So the reason I did this was because I want to make sure that I'm able to remove this without having to kind of force this rubber piece off, which puts a lot of stress on the exhaust there. So I can just take this bolt out, undo these two bolts, and then I can just remove the rear section, and then that way the front section of the exhaust is just held in by the two bolts on each side. And then I wanted to put the hanger as far towards the exit of the exhaust as possible, so that it's got the mounts on the front and then the mounts all the way on the rear to kind of help keep it a little bit more stable. Guys, the audio in this clip is messed up, so I don't remember exactly what I was saying, but I am pointing out the fact that I forgot to weld a tube from here to there. That was the tube for the seatbelt mounts. I have the lap belt mounts welded in. There's one there, and then I'm pointing those out here, but I just completely forgot to put that tube there. I think I did that because the seats weren't in it at the time, and I kept thinking I'll put the seats in later. You can see how animated I am with my little hand gestures. On the underside of the vehicle, there's two spots where I missed a weld. I can't remember if I showed you guys that or not, but I'm going to weld those up, and then I'll see how much it damages the paint, and that'll let me know how to proceed with the little tube here. All right, here's one of the welds that I missed. You can see I've since touched it up. This is the other one. This is underneath the seat. I was worried that it was going to just destroy the paint pretty far out, but it looks like it only messed up about a ½ inch, 3/4 of an inch. So I don't think I'm going to have any issues when I weld up that tube for the seatbelt mounts on the inside. All right, so I've got the rear seats installed. These things are ridiculously heavy. One thing that's kind of cool though, let me see if I can show you here. They still pop forward. I don't know if that's going to be super handy for anything except maybe for adjusting the coilovers. I can't imagine I'm going to store anything or anything like that, but at least they still work that way. They are nice looking. All right, on to the next thing. Alright, here's the electrical connector for the front clip. All you have to do is just unclip this and you can pull the whole front end off. All the split loom came out real nice. Alright guys, she's going in for inspection tomorrow. So now the real fun begins. I've got to finish up all this sheet metal. And the reason it's the last thing left is because I don't want to do it. But I've done all the hard work, I think. I've got all of these patterns already cut out, and then I've already got the markings laid out on a couple sheets of aluminum. So all I have to do is send it through the old slice and dicer 2000 over here and chop it up into little bits, and then I've got to fold some elbows and throw some bead rolls on it, and then I'll be able to get it installed on the vehicle. So I'm gonna try and knock this out as fast as possible. Alright guys, I've got the passenger side in. All these pieces just fit absolutely perfectly. I'm getting pretty good at this. Alright guys, it's evening of April 6th. I've got 11 hours to have this thing ready for inspection. I still haven't done the front, I don't even know what you'd call these, the front fiberglass dealy whoppers. Back here I haven't done the fender, but I've been moving and shaking on the inside. Let me hop in here and show you what I mean. Now I will tell you guys, I like working on this vehicle so much more than the six-figure vehicles that I occasionally work on, because I was in here getting all these side pieces installed, and you listen to that sound compared to the metal. That's the heat shield on the inside there. But while I was working on this, I was just scratching the hell out of this perfectly painted bottom portion, and it's wonderful to not have to worry about the paint. Whenever I'm putting together and doing the final on the really expensive vehicles, oh, it just drives me absolutely bonkers. But everything's looking good. You can see I've got the heat shield underneath this too. It's looking nice in there. I don't know how well it's gonna work. I don't know if a couple portions where it's a little bit close to the headers, I might end up having to do a piece of metal just so that the little tar that's used to seal it on the back doesn't end up melting. It's rated at 900 degrees, but who knows? I got it on the internet. This side's looking fantastic. It's all done. There's actually a decent amount of room in the passenger seat. I'm in the middle of the back here, and this is where the good spot is. Until I end up having to put the little tube across here for the for the seat belts. Then it's going to be a knee breaker. But what is nice is the person in the back here. You're not going to have anything to hang on to. You're going to be bouncing around like this. But when I have that seat belt bar, it's going to be nice. And if you remember when I was underneath and I was welding up a couple of those spots that I missed, it only messed up the paint about a half an inch away from it. So I think I'll be able to just weld it in and touch it up, and who cares anyways? This thing's going to get so beat up. But all right, moving and shaking. I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to do for this engine cover yet. I already have the engine cover made. I decided a while ago that I'm not going to screw it in because if I need to get access to the engine or if there's a fire or anything like that, I want to have quick access to it. Oh, actually, I got these clips. I don't know if I showed them to you yet. Let me get those. But these are the clips that I'm using. And so I was thinking about mounting the clip to the top like so. And then I was going to have these on the side clip down. That way I've got 4, so I could just quickly clip, 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 pop the whole thing off. That's what I'd like to do. I'm not sure if I'll be able to do that tonight. What I might do is just tell the inspector that I left the cover off in case they need to run any of the engine numbers or whatever they pretend to do on it. So that might be my plan of attack. Also, I am going to get new seatbelts. I did not realize that these expired for racing 18 years ago. So I guess I've been doing this a little bit longer than I thought, but I'm gonna end up getting, and I'll probably get orange ones. I figure that makes sense, throw a little more color on it. All right, back to work. Sorry if I'm not filming as much as I would like to, but gotta get this thing moving and shaking, ready to go for tomorrow morning. All right, guys, well, I don't know if you can see the lovely little trophy truck behind me, but I'm on my way to the MVD, or the DMV as you call it. Very nervous. Especially with what's going on with the coronavirus. I'm happy that they're still doing the inspections. This is a lot different than when I take a normal vehicle like this Dodge in there, but I've got all my paperwork. And here's the thing, I'm pretty conservative when it comes to following rules. I like that there are rules and I like following them so that I don't get in any trouble. I don't like donating any money to the government for speeding or anything stupid like that. So generally speaking, I don't speed, I don't mess around on the streets, I don't do anything like that. I'm more of a save it for the track kind of guy. But, although everything I've got I know is 100% legal and 100% perfect, that doesn't really matter much when it comes to the government. Sorry about the shaking. This mount vibrates a little bit in case you couldn't tell. But although I know everything is legal, there's always the question in the air because sometimes you get some inspector that doesn't like something or other and they want to throw a hissy fit. So fingers crossed, I think we're going to make through this okay. And then I'll let you guys know on the other side. Alright guys, so it passed. Ha ha! I'm on my way home. It wasn't that bad. It took a little while to do some extra paperwork. It's 8:45, so it took 45 minutes. This guy was 5 minutes late to his appointment right after me, and there's nobody else there. Nobody, totally dead. This guy's 5 minutes late. The officer comes out, says you're gonna have to reschedule. Next available appointment's in 12 days, and they don't even know if the MVD will be open then. And they wouldn't look at it. And then they were all just standing around. The government is ridiculous, my friends. All right. Well, let's get home. Let's get this thing finished. Let's get this thing on the road and get this thing tested. Woo! All right, guys. All right, guys, check this out. That trailer level looks awfully low. I don't even think I'm gonna try and unload it with the ramps. I'm gonna have the wife videotape unloading it without the ramps. Alright guys, I jumped the gun a little bit when I said that she's titled and tagged and ready to go. Although the inspection station was open at the MVD, the actual offices that give you the tags and the registration, they weren't open. So I have to go to a third-party agency, which I've already done, and I've dropped off my paperwork for it, but unfortunately, they won't be able to get me the tags until early next week. So, The next video will be out on the street. I will take it out and I will put some serious miles on it, try and beat it up a little bit, see what breaks, see if we break down, see what goes wrong. Hopefully I won't have any issues there. That'll be in the next video. I'm going to try to also do the gear swap and start the process of breaking those gears in the next video. I'm not sure if I will or not, but the next video will be trophy truck, it will be on the street, and we will be beating on it pretty hard and seeing what gives. So thanks for watching this one. I'll see you guys soon.